Hi guys, my name's Colby Cons, and welcome back to Pragmatic Politics. So the pick is in. Joe Biden has chosen Kamala Harris to be his vice president, and there's a lot of pros and cons that go along with this. First of all, I'm not the biggest fan of Kamala Harris. She didn't pique my interest at all in the presidential campaign that she ran, and she hasn't really done much to persuade me that she's pro-progressive policies. However, there are pros and cons to her being picked as the vice president, and I'm still fully backing Biden and Kamala Harris for presidency. Riding with Biden all the way, baby. Just simply because Trump is awful, and we need to get him out of office, and we need to get back to a country that has a respectable person in office and not some lunatic who, only cares about himself, is racist, is misogynistic. Yeah, let's get him out. Let's get Biden in there. Anything will be better, pretty much, than Trump. It's pretty crazy how terrible a job he has done. So let's get down to the pros and cons of Kamala Harris as the vice president to Biden. The first pro is that she is a plausible day one president. Basically, Joe Biden's an old man. He's 78. We're in the middle of a pandemic. He could die. It's possible. So she has experience in running national campaigns. She tried to run for president against Biden. So she knows what it takes. She's been a senator for several years, has won several elections to remain a senator. And she ran the Attorney General's office in the most populous state in America for several years. So she knows what it takes to run an organization, to work as a politician in America. So if the case happens that Biden is unable to be president, either by passing away or something happens, she is able to take over and lead the country, or she has experience in that regard. So the second pro for Kamala Harris is that her election as vice president would be a historic victory for equitable representation in our government. She'd be the first black woman on a major party ticket, and this is a great step forward in equality and equity for everyone. Just because she's a black woman doesn't make her able to do a good job, but the fact that a black woman will be in a position of power would help out children in our country. There's been several studies. Here's one of them. I'll pull it up right now. This study suggests that when children are exposed to female role models who defy gender-based stereotypes, this can actually loosen the grip of stereotypes and therefore empower women to pursue male-dominated positions. It only helps us by having strong female role models in our country. I'll link this study down in the description so you guys can check it out. More research has also come out, I'll pull this one up, that suggests that black students perform better in school when they have a black teacher to look up to. And so having a black vice president will also further black Americans' goals to succeed in life. So it's just a win-win having, representation in our government from minorities, women, and people of color. Another pro to Kamala Harris is that she's well-liked by Democratic donors and by activists. When she was running for president, she got a lot of big donations from Silicon Valley and from Martha's Vineyard. The Democratic establishment really likes her, and this will only help boost Biden's numbers. She'll pull in more donations, she'll pull in more people who will be activists and work on his campaign. So this definitely helps Biden. It's a good choice by him. Another pro is that this will not cost Democrats a Senate seat. She's a senator in California, the most Democratic state in the country. Another Democrat will be elected to the Senate in her spot, and we might luck out. It might even be a more progressive candidate, so it could be a win-win for us. Kamala Harris as vice president will also help mobilize African American voters and shouldn't alienate the moderates or the people that hate Trump but are anti-progressive. So, she's very pro-cop, she's very law and order, she's tough on crime. This should help please the pro-cop Trump skeptics that are out there. I mean, there's people that want law and order that don't want rioting, that don't want criminals running crazy, but they hate Trump. This might help appease moderates that want someone who's tough on crime, but also isn't Donald Trump. And this is a bonus in Biden and Kamala's favor. And the last pro in my mind is that she's willing to do the dirty work. So she'll go after the Republicans. She'll press Trump. She'll press Pence hard while still allowing Biden to take the high road. Biden can sit back, be the nice guy, and Harris, she can go hard like she did against Brett Kavanaugh in the hearing, and she did against Bill Barr as well. And also in the past, she's been tough on Wall Street. I mean, in the bank settlement during the 2008-2009 financial crisis, she was one of the congresswomen holding out for tougher terms against Wall Street. So there were a lot of good reasons for Biden to choose Kamala Harris as his vice president, and so he went through with it. Unfortunately, though, there are a lot of cons about the things that make me not a fan of Kamala Harris. Possibly the biggest reason why I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris is that she ran one of the most lackluster, underwhelming presidential campaigns in modern history. I mean, she started out with a lot of donations, a lot of funding, a lot of activists, a lot of support for her at the beginning of the campaign. She actually was in second, only behind Biden at the beginning of the Democratic primaries. However, she proceeded to plummet pretty hard as the election process went on and ended up conceding when she was only at 4%, barely above Andrew Yang, who was kind of like a gimmicky candidate. I did support some of the things Yang liked, but he really was only running on one policy, which was universal basic income. And Kamala Harris, who was a big name, had a lot of funding behind her, barely was able to even stay ahead of him. She had a terrible policy for healthcare. First, she was pro-Medicare for all and then backed away from it. And then she tried to find a middle ground. And it does not work. It did not work. She was very wishy-washy. No structure to her policy about healthcare. It came across terrible. And I am someone who's a proponent for Medicare for all because it'll save so many people so much money. It will help our country exponentially. I mean, imagine being able to go to the doctor whenever you want and not having to face a bill at the end. And your taxes that will increase for the Medicare for all will be less than the cost that health insurance is right now for the majority of Americans. Like, if you make $60,000 a year and you get Medicare for all, you will be paying half as much as you do for health insurance right now as you will in your taxes raising for Medicare for all. Like, it's a no-brainer. You pay less for healthcare. Even though your taxes go up, it's not as much as you're paying for healthcare right now. Like, it's so simple. Anyways, Kamala Harris supported Medicare for all first, then backed away from it, then tried to find middle ground. It did not work out, did not look good. Another con for Harris as VP is the fact that it does not help Biden out, or the Democratic Party out, geographically in the election. California was already going to vote Democrat. Like, they're going to vote for Biden. Trump is not going to win California. Everyone knows this. So picking Kamala Harris as his VP is not going to help draw more voters from California because they're voting for him anyway. If he had instead picked someone like Tammy Baldwin, that could have given him a huge boost of voters in Wisconsin, or he could have chose Sherrod Brown in Ohio to gain a huge group of voters in the general election. So this doesn't really help him in some of the swing states because Kamala Harris is from California. The people from Ohio do not care. The people from Wisconsin do not care about Kamala Harris. It is understandable, though, that you don't want to choose one of them and risk losing the Senate seat to a Republican as a result of it. So you got to make a judgment call here on whether or not to play it safe or to try and get those swing states. For me, the biggest con on Kamala Harris is her policies are underwhelming. I have major qualms about her prosecutor record. Kamala Harris put people for possession of marijuana in jail for a long time, like massively long convictions, while joking that she herself had used weed and laughed about not getting caught, but the people who get caught, she punishes extra hard. So pretty hypocritical, made really big turn off for me. She also fought innocence claims from men of color who were wrongly convicted, like people who were put in jail wrongly, who were innocent. she fought against them being able to prove their innocence, which is not a good look in my mind. I mean, you should be pro-innocence. And she also threatened to put parents in jail if their kids were truants, which is crazy. Like, it has nothing to do with the parents, what the kids are up to. I mean, just because if a parent's at work, they have no control over what their kids are doing. Why should the parents go to jail? It's ridiculous. That was the most ridiculous take ever, like threatening parents for things that for the kids just skipping school. Some of her policies that were terrible. Her healthcare plan that we went over before, absolute garbage. Wishy-washy between Medicare for all and not. It was just awful. I mean, you can look into it. It was terribly thought out, terribly planned. The LIFT Act that she's promoting, that's an anti-poverty act, actually, it was extremely expensive and yet did nothing to help out the poorest people in America. So it really wasn't that much of an anti-poverty act if the poorest people aren't helped. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, yes, she is further left than Biden, but it would be nice if his vice president had assembled a signature set of policies that were more effective and more well thought out than what Kamala Harris decided to do. So, all in all, there are pros and cons. I think it is a good look for Biden. However, I'm not a fan of her personally. It does not change my opinion. I'm still voting for Biden. I'm still voting for Kamala. I wish he had chosen a better VP. He didn't. But I'm still riding with Biden. That's all we can do. Anything we can to get rid of Trump. That's my opinion. Vote blue all the way down. And she is a good person, and she will step up, I think. She's further left than Biden, which is a good thing. So, you know what? It is what it is. We got to deal with it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you're able to learn some things about Kamala Harris and the pros and cons of her being picked as vice president to Biden. If you really like my content, please hit the subscribe button. Please like the video. It really helps. I know everyone says this. It's annoying, but it helps so much to get some likes on the video. And if you can hit the alert box to turn notifications on, that helps even more. If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just going to keep putting out content anyways, but the more subscribers, the more help I get, the better this channel will be. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.